Hi guys and welcome back to the Mighty Blues. My name is of course Cameron and welcome back today to another live stream. It is Monday now. I do just want to start off today by apologising for the lack of stream on Friday. I had a load of things going on, quite busy I was. I thought I could try and reschedule them all, so I actually at one point did think that I was going to be able to stream, but unfortunately I couldn't. So I do apologise for that one. We'll start off with saying that I've got a couple of things to talk about in today's live stream. We're going to talk about Leighton Baines, obviously Everton legend, current Everton left back. We're going to talk about his future at the club. We're going to talk about Andre Gomes as well. Some rumours coming out of the papers that he has had a conversation with his close family and friends and said that Everton is the destination that he wants to end up at. And we're going to talk about Everton assistant manager, or should I say former assistant manager, João Pedro Sousa, who has joined a Portuguese side to become their permanent manager. So a little bit of a loss at the backroom staff there. It'll be interesting to see how Marco bounces back from that one and who as well he employs to be his assistant manager going forward, obviously into the 2019-2020 season. Let us know if you're watching live. Give us a comment as per usual. I'm just going to tweet the stream out before we get into any of the news so that everybody knows we are live and they can come and have a little watch if they want. How are you all doing as well? After the weekend, I'm not going to talk about the weekend at all. I'm just blanking it out, to be honest. I wish I had one of those Men in Black little machines where they just go bing and you just forget about everything, because that's how I feel after that weekend. But we're not going to talk about it for obvious reasons, and you know, let's be honest, we're here to talk about the Blues, aren't we? It's all about Everton Football Club. It's looking quite positive going forward. Obviously the news of Andre Gomes apparently deciding that he wants to join the football club, it's massive. It's really positive. I think it's what we all needed to hear, what we all wanted to hear. I think probably we sort of knew deep down that he wasn't going to want to join West Ham. We probably knew deep down that Spurs were just being used to up the price. But, you know, it's always nice to see that, you know, hopefully he's coming out and he's saying, listen, I want to go to Everton Football Club. It's just now about Mr. Mashiri and Mr. Kenwright putting their hands in their pockets and forking out a bid that Barcelona are happy to accept. You know, West Ham obviously had an £18 million bid rejected for him. Everton haven't made an official bid yet. West Ham as well, whilst accepting the fact that they probably aren't going to sign him, still willing to give West Ham more money, still willing to bid more money for Andre Gomes. So be interesting to see how that one ends. But apparently, according to the player, he is wanting to join Everton Football Club. We'll go into talking about that one in greater detail a little bit later on. Jonathan says, hey Cam, hey Jonathan, hope we are doing okay. Football Blue says, hi Cameron, thoughts on, I'm not going to read them out, winning the CL. I'm not going to talk about it, mate. I've got no interest in them whatsoever. I just don't want to talk about them. So I do apologise if that sort of hasn't answered your question. But yeah, did no impact on my life. I don't care for them whatsoever. So I'm not going to talk about them. Anyway, I suppose we'll go into talking about the biggest piece of news in the last couple of days in terms of Everton Football Club. And I think the biggest piece is the departure of João Pedro Sousa. Obviously, the assistant manager for the 2018-2019 season, Marco Silva's right-hand man. Now, often in football, you see assistant managers having to step in for one reason or another, maybe having to manage a club for the game if, you know, Marco was ill or couldn't attend a certain game for whatever reason. We didn't see that last season, so we didn't quite see how João Pedro Sousa would have lined the team up if he would have had to step in for Marco Silva. But, you know, one thing is for sure, it's going to be a big loss. At the end of the day, listen, the news broke, and the news broke that he's going to be joining, you know, Portuguese side. Let me just make sure I pronounce it right. Portuguese side, Famalicão. I've probably cocked that right up, but he's going to be joining them as their permanent manager. So to be fair to him, you can't really have a negative word to say. You know, fair enough. He's going over there. He's going to become the permanent manager there. Hold your hands up to him. It's slightly disruptive to our backroom staff, I'd like to say. Of course, listen, at the end of the day, what we'd have liked to have done going into the new season is kept the exact same structures that we've got currently at the football club. The club are going to be working hard to bring in Andre Gomes. They're going to be working hard to bring in Kurt Zouma to keep that, you know, that spirit, that, you know, sort of feeling and awe that we had around the club last season. That included all the backroom staff. It doesn't just include the 11 players on the pitch, and that's why I've sat here numerous times on numerous occasions and said, listen, it's massively important that if we can bring Zouma and Gomes in, we have that team that ended the season last year, and then we can only build on that. Then if we don't bring them in, we're looking to players to replace them. Zouma was a massive asset last season, and as was Andre Gomes. Again, although you don't really see much about it, although you don't really hear much about it, João Pedro Sousa was a massive asset to Marco Silva's backroom staff as well. Of course, the assistant manager of the club will have been in and around Marco Silva for the entire season, giving him advice, obviously bouncing off each other as assistant managers tend to. So it is a little bit of a difficult loss, I think. It's probably not as serious as, you may think. It's probably not going to massively affect our season next season. Of course, it's not like Marco's left, but again, it's a part of the structure. It's a part of the sort of the family that we had really at Everton Football Club last season. That built obviously at the positive times, at the negative times. That you're sort of thinking, well, okay, that's a little bit of that's gone now, and we're going to have to replace that. Of course, it's not just the fact that João Pedro Sousa's left the football club. It's the fact that we're now going to have to replace him. We're now going to have to bring an assistant manager in who Marco Silva has that connection to him. Of course, he was a member of Marco Silva's team. He come in with him when he joined in the summer of last year, so he's obviously been around Marco for quite some time now. I'm not too sure if he was the assistant manager at Watford as well, but I could only assume that, because that tends to what happens with management structures and with management teams in football these days. The assistant managers, the coaches, and the manager themselves, they go as a group. Obviously, we've lost him now. It'll be interesting to see who Marco Silva picks. It'll be interesting to see if Marco Silva has any choice in that decision, or whether that decision's made by a Marcel Brands or a Farhad Moshiri, and they bring in an assistant manager. Who knows whether it might be somebody already in the club, whether David Unsworth might be approached to take up a position as an assistant manager, whether Duncan Ferguson might be approached. We don't know yet. There's been no further news on who is going to come in to replace João Pedro Sousa. It's just been obviously confirmed that he's left the club to go and manage a side in Portugal. So for me, listen, it's not one that I looked at and I went, oh my god, my head's blew off, what are we going to do? That's absolutely ruined our season for the next 10 years. It was one of them that you sort of look at and you think, well, okay, fair play to him. He's gone over to manage a professional footballing team in his home country. I dare say he'd probably be on a lot more money than he is at Everton Football Club. Fair play to him, but now what do we do now? Now where do we go? Because that's the last thing we want going into pre-season and going into next season, as a disruption in our backroom staff. We've got that sort of feeling around the football club now. We've got the players' rapport, we've got the players' relationship with each other on the pitch. They're liking playing with each other, they're loving playing for Marco Silva, they're loving playing at Goodison Park now, they're loving that relationship they've got between the fans and themselves. It's important now that we keep that relationship throughout the backroom staff as well, and whoever comes in to be the assistant manager next season is, I personally think should be picked by Marco Silva, and Marco Silva should have the choice, because at the end of the day, it really is, it's his right hand man. It's the man that's going to have to step in if anything goes on with Marco Silva. Talking if he's ill, talking if at the end of the day, if he's suspended and he has to spend some time in the stands, the assistant manager is the guy that's going to step in and fill that role in whilst Marco Silva isn't available. So it's really, really important that decision is made and that the right man is brought in to be the assistant manager of our football club. At the end of the day, it is it's a loss. It is a loss. You can't say any otherwise, losing Sousa. But it's one of them that you're going to have to look at and get over with. And Marco Silva's going to have to look at, and he's going to have to go, okay, he's gone and made his own decision for his own life. Now, how do we progress as a football club? How do I make sure that the person I'm bringing in to fill in them boots has got the exact same relationship, if not a better relationship with me? We work off each other, and he's going to be there to provide support and help and advice at the end of the day. Because we don't know the backroom information. We're sitting here as fans looking at what's happening on the football pitch. We're sitting here thinking, we've battered Man United one week, we've been battered by Fulham next week. We don't know how much of an impact Sousa had on our season last season. We don't know how many times he said to Marco Silva, no, don't make that substitution, don't bring him on, or how many times he said, do that, and it ended up being the wrong decision. We don't know, but at the end of the day, what's clear is they had a very, very good relationship. So it is a loss. It's a loss for Marco Silva, and it's a loss for the football club, but it's about bouncing back now and bringing in somebody that's going to step in his boots and do as good as a job as he done last season next to Marco Silva. Where are we? Jonathan says we need to hurry up with Gomes. We do, but I think it's in the bag personally, mate. I don't think he's going to go anywhere else. Jonathan says opinions on underbid from Roma. I don't know too much about it, to be honest with you. I'm not going to sit here and lie. I don't know too much about it, but I'll definitely look it up. Football Blue says, what was the reason you supported Everton instead of Liverpool with an asterisk on? Father supports Everton, whole family supports Everton, and I'd never want to be any different. And Jonathan says, of course, Everton are the best. Fact, yeah, 100%. And Music now says, tough question, if you could turn YouTube into your full-time job, but you'd have to call it the Mighty Reds for a week, would you rather stay or do that? Hope you're good. I'd just do what I'm doing now and not have YouTube as a full-time job and continue doing the Mighty Blues and continue with my job that I've got now currently. I'd never ever switch the channel to a Liverpool channel for any amount of money in the world, because that's not me. Never will be a Liverpool fan and never have been a Liverpool fan. And I am doing well. I hope you're doing well yourself. Alex says, any news on the Hull right back Mo Leicester? I'm not gonna fall up on that one. That's quite a clear joke. But to be honest, it wouldn't surprise me if we signed somebody with a stupid name like that. But yeah, if we're signing a right back, hopefully it's Adam Wan-Bissaka. To be honest with you, Ian says made up Baines is getting another year. Yeah, I suppose we're going to talk about that one next. That's probably the next biggest piece of news that's been leaked in the last sort of couple of days or the last week or so. Obviously, we've just spoken about João Pedro Sousa. If you're just joining us, as Everton assistant manager, João Pedro Sousa has left the club to go and manage Portuguese side Famalicão permanently as their permanent manager. So obviously, like I said, it's not the end of the world. It's not something that we're all going to sit here and go, that ruins our season, that, you know, that's the worst thing to ever happen to us. However, it is a little bit of a dent, I suppose, in, you know, the sort of the plan that Marco Silva and Marcel Brands were you know, building and going toward, because at the end of the day, it's a really, really important member of the backroom staff that's now left the club, and arguably more importantly, has to now be replaced by somebody who's got as equal amount of knowledge and obviously ability in that position as well. So I've just spoken about that one. If you have missed it, of course, once the scene goes live, you can go and catch that up on YouTube. I suppose we'll talk about Leighton Baines now. Listen, Leighton Baines has been offered, according to the Liverpool Echo. Anyway, again, it's all just paper talk, really. This is what you get throughout this time of the year. You don't really get anything confirmed unless it's confirmed by the club. But according to the Liverpool Echo, Leighton Baines has been offered a 1-year contract extension, which will keep him at Everton Football Club until June 2020. Of course, his contract expires at the end of this month. So if he doesn't sign a contract, exactly the same with Phil Jagielka, by the 30th of June this month, then he will leave the club on a free transfer, and he'd be able to go wherever he likes and do whatever he likes with his career. Obviously, we're talking about Bainesy today. Leighton Baines has been offered a contract extension by the football club of a year. It's been rumoured by the Liverpool Echo that he is likely to make his decision within the next few days/week. He's currently away in America at the minute, in Los Angeles, with his family on a holiday, as I suppose a lot of the players will be. Obviously, it's the end of the season. He's not going to be going away with England, so as 90% of the players, if not 100% of the players that aren't going away with their nationalities or the national countries, they're all away on holiday. Leighton Baines spends a lot of time in Los Angeles. I believe he absolutely loves it over there in America. He loves it over there in LA. He was pictured with Tim Howard a couple of weeks ago, and of course he has said that, you know, he's going to wait out on that decision. He's going to discuss it with his family, and he's going to discuss what's best for himself. Now, I just want to start off by saying, personally for me, Leighton Baines is an Everton legend, an absolute Everton legend. I think Leighton Baines is, for me, probably, I don't want to say the best Everton player I've ever seen, because I've seen some technically fantastic Everton players, but in terms of loyalty, in terms of how good he was in his prime, he is definitely up there. He is without a doubt an Everton legend. From the performances that he was putting in 2013-14, 2014-15, being the best left back in the league, arguably being the best left back at the world at one point, that partnership he had with Steven Pienaar, obviously how lethal he was on the left with James Coleman on the right during that season that we finished 5th with record points with Roberto Martinez, and then of course not just that, but the fact that he stayed through it all when he could have easily gone to Manchester United and followed David Moyes, when he could have easily gone to a numerous amount of teams that were fighting for the Champions League and fighting for the Premier League. He didn't. He decided to stay at Everton because he was Everton through and through. And I think Leighton Baines, for me, like I said, is an absolute Everton legend. And if he is to leave the club at the end of this month, if he is to leave the club at the end of the season, and this is his last season, because he decides, look, you know, I still think I've got quite a bit to give. I still think that I've got the ability. I still think I've got the fitness, the stamina to go and play, you know, 25, 30 games a season for somebody, whether it be in a lower league or not. That's immaterial. I still think I've got that ability to go and do that. Then that's absolutely fair enough. But I really, and I stress this so much, I don't want Leighton Baines or Phil Jagielka to leave our club like Leon Osman and Tony Hibbert did. And I stress this enough to the football club, and I know there's probably going to be no one from Everton watching this stream, or no one from Everton that has even heard of me. But if there is anybody for, you know, for whatever reason, please don't let these two leave the football club like Hibbert and Osman done. Hibbert and Osman were equally legends of the football club. They give so much to Everton Football Club. But what Leighton Baines and Phil Jagielka have given over the years, in terms of the captaincy Phil Jagielka has given, the leadership he's given, the ability that, you know, Leighton Baines has given, you know, it's hard to be matched. It really is hard to be matched. And listen, I think The report from the Echo is quite clear that Leighton himself doesn't know what he wants to do. It's quite clear that he's going to talk it over with his family. He's going to see what's best for him. It's obviously clear that he believes that he's got a lot more to offer than just sitting on the bench. And it's one of those situations where you really just have to look at it and go, it is what it is. It is what it is, because at the end of the day, we've got Luca Dean now, who for me, I've said multiple times, is the best left back in the league. The lad is absolutely quality, and he is like a prime Leighton Baines. He's what Leighton Baines was in the prime of his career. He stepped in, he's been absolutely fantastic throughout his first season at Everton Football Club. He's won Player of the Year, he's won Players Player of the Year, he's created that Baines-Pienaar-esque partnership with Bernard. He's getting up and down the wings constantly, he's defending well as well, he's creating opportunities, and he can put the ball in the back of the net. So Leighton Baines is pretty much going to be sitting there now knowing full well that he's probably not going to get more than 5 to 10 games a season at Everton Football Club, because we've got a player in there now in Luca Dean who fits in there and who is our left back going forward. And it might be audible to say if you want to look at it in a nostalgia way, but that is what it is. Leighton Baines isn't fit enough, he hasn't got the stamina, and he's only getting older, isn't he? Whereas Luca Dean is in the prime of his career and is our left back going forward. If Leighton turns around and says, listen, absolutely love the football club, I'm a blue through and through, I'm a blue at heart, but you only get one career, you only get one footballing career, and I don't think mine's over yet. I'm not happy to sit on the bench and just sit there watching the football club. I'm not happy to do that for myself, and I'm not happy to do that and take 70 grand a week away from the football club to just sit there and be a spectator. If I'm going to do that, I'd rather go and play for another team and come back to Goodison Park and watch as a fan that I am. He might turn around and say that, and it's quite clear, like I said, that Leighton's mind isn't made up, that he is sitting there thinking, well, let's assess all my options first. Like I said, absolutely loves Los Angeles, the lad. Who doesn't? Loves America as well. LA Galaxy have been a team that have been rumoured to be sniffing around Leighton Baines for a couple of years now, so that is a possibility as well. He might be out there not just on a holiday, not just on a family trip, but out there to have a little discussion with them and see where their head's at and see, listen, what would it take for me to come over here and play consistent football? What would it take for me to come over here and play week in, week out for you guys? Of course, I think LA Galaxy just lost Ashley Cole as well earlier on this season, so there's a space there. As much as I would love Leighton Baines to sign a 1-year extension, as much as I would love Leighton Baines to say, no, I'm happy to just be the backup left back and I want to stay at Everton until my career's over, I think, like I said, realistically, you couldn't really blame him if he said, look, I want to go and play my career out at another football club, I want to go and play my career out in America, or I want to go and play my career out in one of the lower teams and one of the lower leagues, because I don't just want to sit here and sit on the bench and I'll do that and then I'll come back to Everton as a coach or whatever else in the future. It would be massively, massively sad. Like I said, if he does leave, I hope the club would do something for him. If it's a memorial, not a memorial, if it's like a memorable post or a testimonial. Of course, he's been here over 10 years now along with Phil Jagielka. I don't know, whatever it is, I just hope they don't release that list at the end of June and Phil Jagielka and Leighton Baines are two of the names on there and that's it. That's all you'd ever hear of them, because they don't deserve that. They've given so much to our football club, so much over the years. They've given fans some amazing memories, fantastic goals, fantastic defensive moments, and they've been two real legends of the football club. So for me, I just think if Leighton's decision is that he wants to move on and he wants to go and play consistent football somewhere else at a lower level, fair enough, but let's give him the send-off he deserves. And let's tell the fans at the end of the day, listen, he's leaving. Get down here on this day because Leighton Baines is having a testimonial, or get down here on this day because he's going to be outside to sign. He's leaving the football club. Come and show your support. Don't just go, oh, we don't want to tell him he's leaving, so we're just going to release the list and have him and Jagielka at the bottom in small print. Oh, they've left as well, let's forget about them. No, let's not do that, because he's been an absolute legend to the football club. If he decides to sign the 1-year extension, and this is all just a little bit of a, I don't want to think about it, I'm on holiday, fair enough, exactly, you are on holiday, you've given, you've worked hard throughout the season, despite not playing a lot of games, you've worked hard, you've battled injuries. He might just be sitting there saying, listen, I don't want to talk about football, I'm on holiday with my family, I've only just finished a 10-month stretch of playing football, so I don't want to think about it. But on the other hand, he might generally be considering it because he doesn't just want to sit on the bench week after week, and that's absolutely fair enough, like I said. But one thing is for sure, is he's been an absolute legend of the game, and for me, if he is to stay, boss, fantastic, brilliant. If he's not to stay, obviously, thank you very much for all of the memories that you've given us, and good luck wherever you go in the future, and we hope to see you, if not as a coach, if not as a a managerial role anytime in the future, but as a fan sitting in the Gladys seat watching the team, because that's what he is. He's an Everton fan through and through, and that's why we all love him. If you're not enjoying this team so far, please do leave a like. It really does mean a massive amount to me. 14 people in here, so please do leave a like, and if you haven't already, please subscribe. We're 10 subscribers away from 500 now, so it really will mean a lot to me if you subscribe if you haven't already. Where are we? Football Blue says favourite ever Everton player. To be honest, it's either Tim Cahill or Leighton Baines, if I'm being perfectly honest with you. One of them two. Music Now says, what's your job? I work as office admin in Liverpool City Centre for my dad's company. Jonathan says, do we have plenty of money to spend? I would hope so. I know Farhad Mashiri's got plenty of money, and I know there's a certain Russian billionaire that's on the verge of giving Everton a lot of money that's also got a lot of money, so let's hope so. Anyway, let's hope if we don't have a lot of money, whatever money we have, we spend it right. I think that's the most important thing. I think that's the thing that Marcel Brands is going to be dealt with this season. If he's given 50 million, let's hope the 50 million pounds being spent right, because at the end of the day, let's put it retrospectively, and I know you can't really think like this, but if Marcel Brands is given 50 million pounds to buy a striker, you might go, oh, that's not going to get us anyone, that's not going to get us X, Y or Z. He was probably given 20 to buy a left back, and he spent 18, and he's brought in the best left back, one of the best left backs in Europe at the minute. So, let's just trust in Marcel Brands regardless of how much money we have to spend. Alex says, when I hear Liverpool fans saying Robertson is better than Baines, exactly, they get on their eye-horse, don't they? Football Blue says, how's the fan camp plans coming along? I've got a lot of plans going into next season. That is one of them, of course. I'm going to sit down and I'm going to obviously sort them all out going into next season. I'm just trying to do some of the post-season stuff and have a little bit of a break away from the football season because it has just finished. Football Blues also says, would you ever consider doing a phone-in for Everton fans via Skype to speak about games, transfer news, etc., a bit like Goldbridge does? I'd definitely consider it. I don't want to be seen as copying Goldbridge or anyone else and just sitting here doing fan phone-ins, but I'd definitely consider it. Obviously, I want loads of fans to get involved. I want, if you've got any ideas, leave them in the comment section down below. If you're an Everton fan watching and you want to express your opinion and you want to express how you feel about the football club, how you feel about certain games, let me know. DM me on Twitter at MightyBluesYT, and I'm sure we'll get something sorted and we'll get you on the channel as soon as possible. Football Blue says, thoughts on Newcastle being the winners of the 2019 season? It's never happening, mate. Never in a million years. He says, rank Wolves, Everton and Newcastle and how big they are. Everton first, Newcastle second and Wolves third. Alex says, my favourite player was Jelavic. I even bought the shit. I must have been high. Yeah, Jelavic was cracking in his first sort of half of the season. And Alex says, Wolves aren't even in the conversation. Newcastle have won for all. Exactly. And CJ says, Cenk is out for 6 months. Yes, Cenk Tosun has picked up an injury as well. That's something that I was going to speak about in today's team, but I'm actually going to leave that until Wednesday's team. We're going to go over some of the injury news and obviously doing sort of an international roundup, because I know Luca Dean and Kurt Zuma also played for their country last night. So we're going to do a little bit of an international roundup, and of course going on Cenk Tosun's injury as well, because it does look like a little bit of a nasty one. What you think of Cenk, whether he had any chance of being a massive part of our season next season, due to the fact that he wasn't a massive part of our season this season, that doesn't really matter. Obviously it's still horrible news, and he still is an Everton player, so we'll talk about that one on Wednesday. Josh says, what have I missed? We've spoken about the fact that Everton ex-assistant manager, we should say now, or assistant manager, João Pedro Sousa, has left the football club to go and manage a Portuguese side Famalicão as their permanent manager. We spoke about Leighton Baines and how he's been offered a new contract extension. However, he is still away on holiday with his family, so he's not willing to discuss it yet, or at least he hasn't made his decision yet. And that's what you've missed basically up to now. Last thing I want to talk about before we end today's stream is Andre Gomes. Big boss Andre Gomes, the lad that we all sat here in October when he had his debut against Palace, and we all went, give Barcelona £300 billion and me car and me house and me nan and everything else. Let's have this lad come into Everton Football Club because on a permanent deal, because he is absolutely fantastic. That was further proved in the games he played after that. The Merseyside derby at Anfield, he absolutely ran. And then obviously he had a really consistent season. Yes, a couple of games he looked a little bit lazy, he looked a bit sort of uninterested, but the majority of this season he's proven to be quite a fantastic Premier League player and quite a fantastic footballer, and definitely somebody that we should be interested in signing. Barcelona obviously wanting £30 million for him. Everton are, having a little bit of a discussion with Barcelona over that, trying to negotiate that price. It's not like Everton to just say, yeah, whatever it is, what you want, let's bring in the player, because that's not what we do. We negotiate deals. So Marco Silva and Marcel Brands are negotiating that currently with Andre Gomes himself. Obviously, in the last week or so, the last couple of weeks, we've had Spurs interested in him. They've now turned their interest to other players. They've said they're not interested in the player anymore. And West Ham, who actually had an £18 million bid rejected from Barcelona, and have now apparently said that due to the news that Andre Gomes is apparently wanting the move to Everton, they are also not interested. However, they are willing to bid £20 million if, you know, they need to bring the player in. So anyway, yeah, like I said, Everton are looked to be the likely destination for the player. He wants to join the football club, apparently, according to Phil Brown at the Times, or the Daily Star, sorry, not the Times, the Daily Star. He has said that Andre Gomes has told his close friends and family that he wants to join Everton Football Club. That is the destination that he wants to be at. We are where he wants to play next season. Now, like you say, coming out the end of the season, you could sort of, it's all right to retrospectively sit here and say, well, I could have told you that at the end of the season he absolutely loves the football club. Look at the tweets that he's been putting out, look at the posts he's been putting out, look at the fan interaction, the stuff in the community. You could see that he wants to join Everton. But realistically, you know, when the Spurs rumours started to come in and when other teams seemed interested, you did just have to think of it as, well, he's a footballer. In reality, he owed Everton nothing. He's got no alliance to Everton whatsoever, so he could turn around and go, cheers for the season, but I now want to go to that team because they're in a better position. They've got European football. You know, Spurs at the time were in the Champions League final before they bottled that, so I want to go to them. But it turns out that the player himself apparently wants to join Everton Football Club. I suppose we're all sitting here absolutely made up. That's one thing, that's one part of the puzzle. We now know where the player wants to be. Now the second part, and arguably the most difficult part, is, you know, Everton putting the bid in, Everton signing the player, doing that deal with Barcelona. We know after, you know, previous transfers, Yerry Mina last summer, for example, Barcelona are quite notoriously difficult to negotiate with. They don't tend to drop their prices. If not, they increase it after a certain amount of time, so you end up paying what Barcelona want. They've done it exactly with Yerry Mina, of course. Didn't end up signing him until the last 20 minutes of the transfer window last summer because he was signing for Manchester United on a 4-year deal. Was he bollocks? That was just Barcelona trying to up his price and trying to scare Everton Football Club. Obviously, you know, we got tied into it, we got roped into it last season with him and Andre Gomes, of course, and they didn't end up getting announced for it until quite late on in the transfer window. We didn't get tied into it with Luka Dean, who struck a really, really good deal, and we had that done and dusted in a considerable amount of time. So hopefully a similar situation like the Luka Dean one sort of happens with Andre Gomes. We don't want to be sitting here sort of in the last week or two at the transfer window when he's still not being announced an Everton player, despite the fact we all know that A, he wants to join Everton, and B, he's more than likely to join Everton. We want this deal done as soon as possible, and hopefully it's done within the next couple of weeks. We know now the player wants to join Everton. I dare say Marco Silva and Marcel Brands have known the player has wanted to join Everton for quite some time, so let's just get the deal done now. Let's not piss about. If they want 30 million, give them 30 million. At the end of the day, it's nothing in this day and age. It's absolutely nothing. You've got Dominic Solanke going for 20 odd million pounds or something stupid like that. Give them 30 million. Don't budget, don't try and negotiate with it, don't try and piss them off. Just say, here you go, 30 million pounds. There you go, let's have it. I think he's a fantastic footballer, and I think he'd fit fantastically in our team. And like I said, for me, I've been stressing for a couple of weeks now, we really need to keep that consistency that we ended the end of the season with. If we can go into next season with Kurt Zouma at centre-half and Andre Gomes at centre midfield, that's 50% of our job done for me. Of course, we need to bring a striker in. Of course, we probably need to bring another centre midfielder in. We need to keep Gay as well. We need to, maybe bring another right winger in, but keeping those two players, meaning that we've got the same team that we ended last season with, is already a massive advantage going into next season. Of course, we spoke about earlier on how the loss of Sousa as the assistant manager will affect that, because again, the backroom staff is now going to have to change. Not only have they lost a member of them, but they're going to have to bring somebody in who, you know, may be totally new to the setup, may be totally new to the club. That's if, of course, the job isn't given to somebody that's already at the club. So that's already going to change. So if we can sort of minimise the amount of change and bring in Zouma and bring in Gomes, then for me that's a fantastic start to going into next season. But anyway, let me know what you think on that one. What do you think on Andre Gomes coming out and supposedly telling his close family and friends that he wants to join Everton? Did you expect it, or did you get a little bit worried when teams like Spurs started to come in and sort of be rumoured to be interested in his signature? What do you think about Leighton Baines as well? Do you blame Leighton Baines for considering a move elsewhere? Do you blame Leighton Baines for wanting to play consistent football? Are you just happy that he's given all his best years to Everton Football Club, or do you think he really should just settle himself down, get his head down, sign that contract, and be a fantastic backup, as we all know he will be? And what do you think about João Pedro Sousa leaving the football club as well? Do you think it'll have a massive impact, or are you just not bothered? You just think whatever, it's a member of the backroom staff, they come, they go, fair enough to him, he's gone to manage a football club in his home country, good luck to him, fair play, let's bring somebody else in and not let it worry us. Let me know your thoughts on everything. Of course, if you have enjoyed today's theme, please do leave a like before we finish. We're going to go back into the live comments now, so I'll make sure I've read everybody's. Where are we? Alex says, what is your predicted starting 11 for next season? Oh, instead of doing a predicted one, I'm going to do a hopeful one. Pickford in goal, Luca Dean at left back, Kurt Zouma and Michael Keane at centre half, Seamus Coleman at right back, Andre Gomes as the Sagana Gay, and Sigurdsson as the three in midfield. And look, there's a couple of front three options. I could go Bernard, Richarlison, Werner. I could go Richarlison, David Neres, Werner. I could go Calvert-Lewin, David Neres, Richarlison. There's a load of them, isn't there? But let's hope we sign a striker. I think the most important thing for us is bringing in a number 9 that we know can score 15 to 20 goals in a Premier League season, and we know can do it for Everton Football Club. That's exactly what we need, and let's hope Marcel Brands and Marco Silva can bring us that. Moji says Everton should spend their money on somebody other than Gomes. Yes, he's good technically, and he's basically had one good game, which was the derby. If LFC keeper wasn't so good, he probably scores. He has no consistency. I disagree with that one, but fair enough. An opinion's an opinion, and maybe there's a couple of Everton fans that think we should, not spend the money on Gomes and think we can spend the 30 million on somebody that is more beneficial for the football club. I tell you what, I do think, I definitely think that at this moment in time, Kurt Zouma is probably more of an important buy than Andre Gomes. I think when Andre Gomes first come into the squad in October, that probably wasn't the case. It was probably the other way around. It's probably Gomes over Zouma, but I think now we've started to realise the importance of Kurt Zouma and how important he is to this setup. So I do think that as a matter of priority, I think I'd probably put Zouma in front of Gomes at the minute. Alex says one good game. Moji says we don't want another Richarlison on our hands when he was a couple of good games and we gush all over him. We need players with more consistency. I think Richarlison's consistency will come with his age and his experience. He is still very young, but for your point, I do agree we do need players with consistency. And Alex says, can you say hi to Joe and Sally Menzer for me? I don't know whether that's a joke one, no disrespect if it isn't, but hi to them. And CJ says, do we have good finances going into next season? I think, listen, obviously Marcel Brands come out in January and he said it's a case of sell to buy. We need to sell players, we need to get players off the wage structure before we can bring anybody in. I think we're probably looking at a similar situation in the summer, to be honest, but we all knew that there's numerous amounts of deadwood we need to get rid of before we can bring players in. For example, there's Sandro Ramirez, who's on £125,000 a week, Yannick Bolasie 70, Ashley Williams 60 odd. We knew that, it's going to be a case of not just bringing players in, but getting rid of players as well, and that's half the job as well. So I dare say we will have good finances, but for me, it really boils down to Marcel Brands now, and this is where he makes his money for me. This is where he makes his name, and this is where he makes his money. And we're going to be talking about Marcel Brands and just how important his role is going into next season on Friday. So don't forget to join us for that one as well. And we'll be talking about Marco Silva then as well. Anyway, that's going to do it for today's team. A massive thank you to everybody for getting involved. There are quite a few people in today, so a massive thank you to everybody for watching live. If you haven't already, please do subscribe. We're literally 10 subscribers away from 500, so it's been a massive amount to me. If you haven't already as well, please do hit that like button. Again, it really does mean a massive amount to me. We'll be back on Wednesday at 6:15 again for another live stream. Like I said, we're going to be talking about the post-international games. We're going to be talking about the injury to Cenk Tosun, and we're going to be talking about, obviously, players and their international teams and how they've done in the previous week. And then, of course, like I said, on Friday, the big one about Marcel Brands and Marco Silva and what they need to do going into next summer. Massive thank you to everybody in the live comments. Once again, if you're watching the YouTube video afterwards, please do leave all of your comments in the comment section. I'll be replying to those all night. It'll be really interesting to see what you guys have to say and think about everything that we've spoken about today. Once again, a massive thank you to everybody for getting involved. Alex says, where in Goodison do you sit? I sit in the Park End. Ian says, thought Ash has gone. Moji says, glad to see it. How about you? I sit in the Park End. And Shabba says, hello and goodbye, Cam. Hello, Shabba. Do apologise that you have missed today's stream, but of course you can catch up on the YouTube channel, so don't forget to do that if you feel like as well. But a massive thank you to everybody for watching. Once again, please do leave a like if you have enjoyed. Subscribe if you haven't already. Please join us again on Wednesday at 6:15 for another live stream. Really would mean a massive amount to me. And if you're watching the YouTube video, leave all your comments in the comment section down below, and I'll be replying to those all night. But once again, a massive thank you to everybody for watching, and I'll see you soon on the Mighty Blues.